Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Owens and this is my channel here, and I help people let go of fear, and I'm here to talk about something that brings a lot of fear. And I want to talk about acronyms just for a second because I love this acronym about fear, and the one that I choose to focus on is fear, meaning face everything and rise. And that really fits in well to what I'm going to talk about today. I did want to preface this with I am not a medical professional. Anxiety is something that I have experienced in all of its forms and sensations over the last several years, and for years prior to that, but it really became an apex predator in around 2016, which propelled me to do a lot of research on how to get away without pharmaceutical medication, which you may need. I want to emphasize that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I am just a fellow human being that has navigated through anxiety with some tips and tricks. And I wanted to tell you what I've learned along the way so that it can help you, especially during this unprecedented time of collective anxiety that we all are feeling at this time. I think it's important that there are people who have dealt with this before now, because I notice on a large scale people are maybe not just having anxiety for the first time, but maybe just realizing that the senses and sensations and the way that their body is acting is directly related to anxiety. There are some symptoms of anxiety that feel like major health problems, especially when it's involved with the chest and the heart and the lungs. And we're going to talk about the reason why anxiety brings along some of these sensations that we have. Anxiety does some funny things. It makes the body have sensations that are very uncomfortable and very scary. But I do want to emphasize this most important thought of the whole time. If you have anxiety, which you most likely do if you've reached this video, these pains and sensations and the things that are going on with your body, the lack of breathing, the constricting of the chest, the tightening of the chest, that rapid heartbeat, the feeling of doom, the lightheaded, the dizziness, and more and more and more, these things are scary and uncomfortable, but they are not dangerous. Nobody in the history of anxiety has ever had a heart attack due to anxiety. Asterisk, this is what I know. Again, check everything with a healthcare professional if you feel that you are dealing with more than anxiety. If you have symptoms that are showing that are not conducive to anxiety, but are more conducive to breathing issues or heart attacks or things like this. But the majority of us are feeling as if we're going to have a heart attack, but yet we are not. It is not dangerous. And I want to go over some of the reasons why and some of the bodily sensations that you're having and some tips and tools that you can put in your belt to help you with this overstimulated body that you have right now. Your adrenaline is pumping. Fear and anxiety is based upon the future. And the future is our imagination. But our minds can start thinking about the future in a destructive way that causes our body to react in a fight or flight mode. Cortisol, which is the chemical in the body that is going to put a little belly fat on you. It's gonna increase your heart rate. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and a lot of us have been living in this stress hormone consistently every single day, underlying that the flowing river beneath our day of this cortisol that has had us living in stress. And now when an event like a national pandemic with much uncertainty, with jobs being lost and a lot of conflicting information out there and thinking so much about the future, we are really bringing up this sense of panic and anxiety that are starting to manifest in some real ways. And they are very real to us. Again, uncomfortable, scary, yes, but not dangerous. I want to talk about, let's see, what should we start talking about? Let me give you a breathing exercise, just a quick one, in case you're dealing with anxiety right now and want to get right to it. 4-7-8 breathing is a fantastic breathing exercise to be able to lower the heart rate, get your mind back to center, and to be able to stop in its tracks anxiety symptoms or panic attack symptoms. So 4-7-8 breathing is breathing in through the nose. And why is that so important? The bodily function of breathing through the nose stimulates what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest mode of your central nervous system. This can be acted by breathing in through the nose. And what you do is you breathe in for 4 seconds. Let's do it together here. Okay, we're going to breathe out because I got to talk. Let me tell you how it's done first. A little bit of laughter goes a long way during anxiety as well. But 4 seconds in, breathe from the belly through your nose. Hold that breath for 7 seconds. And then you're going to breathe out for 8 seconds. And release slowly for a count of 8. So let's try it together. I've shown you how to do it. Breathe into a count of 4. Hold for 7 seconds. Breathe out slowly for a count of 8. Let's see if I can get 4 breaths. Let's get rid of all of our breath first. Breathe into the belly. Continually repeat that pattern. 4-7-8 breathing. It's a great way to stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system and get you out of panic attack symptoms or heart rate elevated symptoms. Here's a few things that you can do to achieve a deep state of relaxation. 1, abdominal breathing. A lot of us are breathing shallowly from our chest when we're suffering with anxiety. Those of us suffering with anxiety are notorious for breathing very shallowly from the chest. You need to have deep diaphragmatic breathing, meaning your belly needs to be moving and expanding like a balloon to be able to fully oxygenate the body and get yourself into a rest and digest mode. Also, progressive muscle relaxations, a great tool to be able to get through having a deep sense of doom, panic, fear, is to be able to do progressive muscle relaxation, meaning you're going to tighten up your feet. You could start at a different part of your body, but tighten up your feet and let go. Tighten up for a moment the muscles in your legs, in your lower legs, and your calves, and then let them free. Tighten up your hamstrings, and let them free. Tighten up all the way up. You're tightening these different muscles and letting them go and allowing them to relax. Also, quick tip is to let the forehead go. Let the jaw not clench. Let your shoulders down. Do check-ins with your body. And if you're not able to do that regularly because you have so much on your mind, which is one of the reasons we have anxiety, is set an alarm on your watch, set an alarm on your phone to take regular inventory of how am I clenched up right now? Am I loose? Am I breathing deeply from my abdomen, or am I shallowly breathing through my chest? Great idea to set an alarm for that. Visualizing is so powerful. A peaceful scene. Go onto YouTube. Go out into nature and actually look at a very peaceful scene without having to do too much. If you have access to nature or a forest, or if you have just a tree out in your front yard, anything that's a peaceful scene for you, there's plenty of scenes online that you can look at. Maybe even go on Google Earth and look at Fiji or some tropical place that you'd like to be feeling very peaceful. Guided imagery, you can do that on YouTube as well. There's many apps out there like the Calm app and the Headspace app. There's a lot of guided imagery on there that goes along with meditations, which brings us into the next tool, which is meditation and aromatherapy. Meditation is great. It's one of the best tools that we have to be able to get back to center, get back to the eternal moment that we all live in moment to moment, instead of being in the future where we are imagining our fears, that false evidence appearing real into the future. We can come back to center. We can use our breath to guide us to be in the moment and to be able to be fully here. Us with anxiety, we are not fully here. We are elsewhere in our mind, dealing with problems that are ahead of us. Sensory deprivation, that's something we can talk about later. Yoga is a fantastic to get the body moving. Emotion comes from motion, and if you do good motion, you can have great emotion too. You need to move the body, and yoga could be a great thing for you to start. And there are some awesome people on YouTube. There are some awesome apps everywhere. There are local places once everything comes back to normal where you can start making that a regular practice with other people. But for now, I really recommend Sarah Beth Yoga on YouTube. She's phenomenal. She guides beginners to advanced people. There is a great 10-minute beginner morning routine that I really love from Sarah Beth Yoga on YouTube, and you should check that out. Calming music is another thing. Marconi Union, there's a song called Weightless, and this song was actually developed by sound scientists. Yes, there are sound scientists who made music that will match to the heart rhythm for it to slow down. It's actually scientifically proven to lower the heart rate. It's a fantastic song, and there's plenty of music out there that can help you lower your heart rate. Look on Spotify or YouTube for meditation music, Reiki music, sounds of nature, ocean waves, whatever can give you a sense of peace and lower your heart rate will be really, really great for you. Also, going back to aromatherapy, aromatherapy can really be fantastic. And here's what I highly recommend. During states when you're doing meditation and you're finding yourself at a low, calm rate, anchor that moment with a particular scent like lavender or chamomile or ylang ylang or a variety of things. It could even be citrus. Whatever it is the scent that you want to actually anchor you to that peaceful, calm state, so that when you get into highly aroused states, you can actually smell. And that anchor, memory is created and held in our bodies the strongest by smell, says scientists. And if you smell that and it anchors you to that peaceful time, that can really be helpful as well. I'm going to throw out a lot of tips and tricks and stuff that I know as we go through this video. And I'll make this video and put it out because it's needed now. And then I plan on making a video that is more structured. And in the description, I'll have different areas that you can fast forward to the video, that you can find particular parts. But here's some reminders about panic attacks. Because some of us are going from generalized anxiety right now to full-blown panic attacks where we are having some major sensations going on with our body. And again, check with your healthcare provider if the things that you are feeling are related less to panic attack and more to serious situations. But let me assure you, 90% of visits that are to a general practitioner, a healthcare practitioner, are in relation to stress-related illnesses. We've got to lower our stress. So this video will help with that in general. And a lot of us are going through very scary feelings that feel like they could be. We're self-diagnosing ourselves. We're putting ourselves in a fear of medical issues when actually we're dealing with anxiety that mimic a lot of very serious issues out there that aren't dangerous. Panic attack is not dangerous. And why I want to tell you that it's not dangerous, because your heart, and this is something very assuring, your heart is made up of super strong muscle fibers. Your heart, according to Claire Weeks in 1991, made it very clear that your heart can beat at 200 beats per minute. That is fast, guys. 200 beats per minute for days and weeks without sustaining any damage whatsoever. Your heart is an amazing organ that is meant to last the test of time. Your heart can beat up to 200 minutes for weeks on end with sustaining no damage. Now, your heartbeat probably during panic is getting up in the range of between 130 to 170 possibly, give or take, and that's probably not going to last very long. It could go 200 for weeks, depending on your physiology, but for the most part, your heart is extremely strong and will not be damaged by these panic attacks. And it's worth repeating again. Rapid heartbeats and palpitations during a panic attack can be very frightening. They are not dangerous. Okay, I'm going to emphasize that a lot. A panic attack let's talk about some of the sensations that happen. Breathing. A lot of us notice that we're having the feeling that we're going to stop breathing or suffocate during panic attacks. It's common during panic attacks that you feel your chest close down and your breathing becomes restricted. This is normal. You will not stop breathing. This might lead you to suddenly fear. I've got some notes here I'm going to read from, so I might be looking down a little bit. This might lead you to suddenly fear that you're going to suffocate. Under stress, your neck and chest muscles are tightening. They're coming together, involuntarily tightening and reducing your respiratory capacity. Be sure that there's nothing wrong with your breathing passage or lungs, and that the tightening sensations will pass. Your brain has a built-in reflex mechanism, and that will eventually force you to breathe if you're not getting enough oxygen. If you do not believe this, try holding your breath for up to a minute. I'll wait, and we'll see what happens. When your body's not getting enough oxygen, your lungs will make sure that you get it. At a certain point, you'll feel a strong reflex to take in more air. We're talking about that minute holding your breath. Of course we will. The same thing will happen in a panic attack if you're not getting enough oxygen. You automatically gasp and take a breath long before reaching the point where you could pass out from lack of oxygen. There is arterial restriction going on during panic attacks, and that tightening of the chest that is going to have some restricted feeling in your breath. That's where we're going to use some of our tools to calm ourselves down, get ourselves back to a place where we can fully take our breaths. And even if you did pass out, let's just say even if you did pass out, you would immediately start breathing. And some choking sensations or of constriction during panic, however unpleasant, are not dangerous. Now, a panic attack, the sensation of lightheadedness that a lot of us feel with the onset of panic can invoke a fear of fainting. What is happening is the blood circulation to your brain is slightly reduced, most likely because you are breathing more rapidly. This is not dangerous and can be relieved by breathing slowly and regularly from your abdomen, as we're always talking about. We're always want to breathe from our abdomen, preferably through your nose. A panic attack will not cause you to lose your balance. You won't fall over or cease to walk when you feel weak in the knees during a panic attack. You can't go crazy during a panic attack. Reduced flow to your brain, during a panic attack is due to arterial constriction, a normal consequence of rapid breathing. This can result in a sensation of disorientation and the feeling of unreality that can be frightening. That's right, like you can't even get yourself oriented in reality. There's so many thoughts going by. There's just so much going on. Just remind yourself. There's a lot of reminders that we can give ourselves during these bouts of fear and panic that is simply due to some underlying causes like temporary arterial restriction in the brain. It doesn't have anything to do with going crazy, no matter how eerie or strange that it might feel. These feelings are eerie, they're different, they're strange, they're not dangerous. The number two thing, well, I don't know what number we're on, but do not fight panic. That is one of the best things that I can give you. The fact of what you resist persists really is embodied when dealing with anxiety. You don't want to resist anxiety. With my experience, again, consult with your therapist, your doctor. But from my experience, you do not fight panic. It is a bad idea. Resisting and fighting initial panic symptoms is likely to make them worse. Resisting is going to make your anxiety. It makes my anxiety worse. And from my experience with others, it makes theirs worse as well. It's important to avoid tensing up in reaction to panic. Symptoms are trying to make them go away by suppressing them and grinding your teeth. Just like, go away, go away. Although it's important to act rather than be passive, as we're going to talk about in a moment, you still shouldn't fight your panic. You need to be like David walking up to Goliath. Even with your small little rock, you're going to throw that thing right in the middle of his eyes and take him down. You have to stand up to this enemy and move towards it. Here's 4 steps. 4-step approach for coping with panic. Number 1, face the symptoms. Move towards Goliath. And don't run from him. Don't run from the feelings that you have. Face the symptoms. Attempting to suppress or run away from early symptoms of panic is a way of telling yourself you can't handle a particular situation. In most cases, this will only create more panic. A more constructive attitude to cultivate is one that says, okay, here it is again. I know this enemy well. It's panic. It's anxiety. I can allow my body to go through its reactions and handle this. I've done it before. And even if you haven't, you will get through this. And by recognizing these symptoms of something that's going to happen from a panic attack, instead of trying to suppress them and letting your body know, yes, I'm in a sense of arousal. I can allow my body to go through these reactions. I am not going to run from them. I've done this before. I can handle this. Number 2, accept what your body is doing. Don't fight against it. When you try to fight panic, you simply tense up against it, which only makes you more anxious. Adopting just the opposite attitude, one of letting go. and allowing your body to have its reactions such as heart palpitations, chest constriction, breathing issues, sweaty palms, dizziness, and so on. Anxiety can cause some of the weirdest, silly little symptoms that, because we are so sensitive to our symptoms, we zone in. Those of us with anxiety are really self-perceptive. Any little tick or tack or knock, we'll feel it and then gradually create a story behind it, and it grows and it grows and it grows. Sound familiar? So allowing your body to have its reactions will enable you to move through panic more quickly and easily. It may not go away immediately, but fighting it will only extend it. Allowing your body to go through its reactions and stepping towards it, understanding that it's here and I've been through this and my body's going to do its thing, that will allow it to go faster. What you resist persists. The key is to be able to watch or observe your body's physiological arousal, to watch it, be the observer of it, no matter how unusual or uncomfortable it feels, without reacting to it further with fear or anxiety, compounding anxiety and fear with more fear and anxiety. Number 3 is float. Float with the wave of a panic attack. I think of being a surfer, thinking about riding this wave in. Instead of trying to fight the wave, I get on my board and I ride with it. And that's what you need to do with panic attack. Rather than try to force your way through it, Claire Weeks, who we mentioned earlier about the muscle fibers, makes a distinction between first fear and second fear. First fear consists of the physiological reactions underlying panic. Second fear is when you make yourself afraid of those reactions by saying scary things to yourself, like, I can't handle this. I've got to get out of this situation right here, right now. Or whatever other people see this happening to me. Why you can't do much about first fear. You can eliminate second fear by learning to flow with the rising and falling of your body's state of arousal rather than fighting or reacting fearfully to it. I'll let my body. Instead of scaring yourself about your body's reactions, you can move with them, making reassuring statements to yourself such as, this too will pass. I'll let my body do its thing and move through this. Or, I've handled this before and I can handle it now. These empowering statements are really powerful. A list of such positive coping statements will follow in the next section. I got notes for myself here. I actually have a manual that I'd love to send out to you if you have Evernote. I can send you this manual and it'll have a large amount of information. Let's go over let's go to 4 and then we're going to go to some coping statements that are very, very powerful. Number 4, allow time to pass. Panic is caused by sudden surge of adrenaline. If you can allow and float with the bodily reactions caused by the surge, much of this adrenaline will metabolize and be reabsorbed in 3 to 5 minutes. As soon as this happens, you'll start to feel better. Panic attacks are time limited. In most cases, panics peak and begin to subside within only a few minutes. And that doesn't mean if it's going longer that you have something else. They can extend longer. And they can be persistent if we're resisting. It is most likely to pass quickly if you don't aggravate it by fighting against it or reacting to it with even more fear, causing second fear that we just talked about. Stand up to Goliath, but do not fight him. Here's some coping statements. Number 1 thing, a quick trick before we do coping statements is, instead of thinking, oh, this is anxiety, you can actually say to your mind that I'm excited. You can actually transfer the feeling of fear and panic into excitement. That alone, that mind switch, is something that you can use. Give it a try sometime. When you're starting to feel anxious and the heart's ready, I'm excited right now. I'm not in fear or anxiety, I'm excited. So here's some coping statements. This feeling, it is uncomfortable or unpleasant. I can accept it. I can be anxious and still deal with the situation. I can handle these symptoms or sensations. This is an opportunity for me to learn to cope with my fears. I'll just let my body do its thing. This will pass. There's more coping statements, but I want to move on. And don't forget to use that trick of switching it from this is anxiety and fear to I'm excited right now. It does help. So the choice is really up to you. Here's another trick. I am not happy right now with this anxiety. Anger and anxiety do not mix at all. You cannot be in a state of anxiety and anger at the same time. So anger can actually be quite an impressive tool for getting out of states of apathy and fear and lower level vibrational states of being. Anger can actually be a great tool. The key is to not stay in anger. But anger can actually uplift you to a higher place than some of the more fearful states of apathy and fear and all that. So you can actually use anger to combat anxiety because they are not compatible. It's impossible to experience both at the same time. It turns out the symptoms of anxiety or a stand-in for deep feelings of anger or frustration or rage. It turns out the symptoms of anxiety or a stand-in for deeper feelings of anger, frustration, or rage. If you can get angry at your anxiety the moment it arises, you may stop it from building any further. You can do this verbally or physically. You might say a thing to your symptoms. Say something to your symptoms, such as, "Get out of my way. I have things to do. To hell with this. I don't care what other people think." Or, "This reaction is ridiculous. I'm going into this situation anyway." This approach can be effective for some people. Not everybody, some people. These are tools that you can give a try. Everyone's different. A lot of this works for a lot of us. But it does, you all have different bodies and physiological processes. But for the main part, what I know of this is that the majority of stuff we talked about is universal. So get angry with it. Time-honored techniques for physically expressing anger include chopping wood, throwing eggs into the bathtub. They wash away easy anyway. Hitting a bed or couch with a plastic baseball bat. Screaming into a pillow or in your car along with the windows rolled up. Or not. You don't want to really cause any anxiety for anybody else. So maybe roll your windows up. Pounding on a pillow on your bed with both fists. Learn to observe rather than react badly to the sensations of anxiety. You can take a major step forward by learning to detach emotionally from the first physical symptoms of panic. Simply observe them. To the extent that you are able to watch the intense reactions your body goes through when aroused and not interpret them as a threat, labeling them, you'll be able to save yourself from considerable distress. Several of the strategies described in the previous note section, what we just talked about, can help you to adopt this detached stance. By doing deep abdominal breathing, you can slow down the physiological mechanism responsible for panic, giving yourself time to gain some detachment, to be able to observe. By using positive self-talk, you replace the scare talk, which can aggravate your anxiety, with coping statements specifically designed to foster an attitude of detachment and flowing with experience, riding that wave. You'll find that it takes some practice to learn how to use breathing exercises and techniques and positive self-talk. Consistently work with them, enable you to reach a point where rather than just react, you can observe and go with the bodily reactions and that are associated with panic. This kind of detachment is the key to be able to master your panic. It's no longer a luxury to relax. When things calm down, you might need to consider, because of this overstimulation and this constant go, go, go that we are having a reprieve from right now, whether or not it's coming from something negative, we are having times to reevaluate our lives and to hopefully reprioritize our life and to see that we are overstimulated and overworked and overstressed and that we need to do something. And it's not a luxury for self-care. It is a necessity for maintenance for our mental and physical health. The Mayo Clinic reports that a 60-minute massage can reduce cortisol levels, which is an enemy chemical, that chemical of stress, by up to 30%, as well as increase circulation, relax the body and muscles, and allow for better sleep. Sleep's something we'll talk about. Cortisol is a major contributor to anxiety and stress. There's an article that I'll place in the description about how to reduce cortisol levels. I don't have any affiliation with this link at all, but you can use it as a start to understand more about cortisol and relief from cortisol, the stress hormone. Also, some supplements for safe and effective anxiety and stress relief. Check with your doctor if these are compatible with your current medications or whether you should take these or not. But one that I love and is number one on my list is an amino acid called L-Theanine. This is something you can buy cheaply from Amazon, have it delivered to your home right now, or find quickly at the pharmacy. L-Theanine is just a simple amino acid that is not naturally created in the human body that you can take, and it acts immediately almost. For me and others that I've talked to, up to 600 milligrams during extreme periods of stress, but 200 to 400 milligrams can really change your level of stress and very quickly. L-Theanine, look it up, give it a try, talk to your doctor. Also ashwagandha, it's an adaptogen herb that is very, very beneficial that I have found to be a great way for me to cope and adapt to life. Adaptogen herbs really do translate to the body a way to adapt to stress. check this out and take it with black pepper. I highly recommend taking it with a black pepper extract, which a lot of companies have it already in with the ashwagandha, but check, because black pepper is going to allow you to absorb and get the full benefit of using the ashwagandha from a reliable source. Do your research on your own. 5-HTP, ginkgo biloba, rhodiola, magnesium, all of us, not all of us, I'm not a medical professional, but the majority of us from my research are magnesium deficient. Use a magnesium salt bath. Take magnesium orally. This electrolyte is just a crucial component in the body for up to 200 to 300 different processes in the body. Magnesium will help that arterial restriction. It'll help loosen up the vascularity. It will actually help calm you down. Magnesium is fantastic. Do your research on it. And valerian root. I find valerian root to be much more of a sedative. It could put your body in more of a sedated state. Not in a bad way, but really calm you down to a point where it might be good for in the evening. But again, do your research on valerian root. Sleep, or a lack of it is a huge contributor to stress and anxiety. You must have quality sleep. Reduce your food intake 3 hours before bed. No blue light from your laptop. Use your phone and your computer's features to block out the blue light. If not, get yourself some glasses from Amazon if your phone or computer doesn't have that. It really does affect your sleep. Reduce light in your room. Try to have a pitch black room. White noise or a fan can help with sleep. I've been living with a fan my whole life. And my dad had it. He had tinnitus in his ears, and he just needed that white noise and some of that cool breeze. But even during the winter, we used it because that white noise is so good for our sleep. Speaking for my family. Take melatonin before bed. Melatonin is a great natural substance that you can use as dissolvable or a liquid or however it comes. Do your research on melatonin. It can really be helpful for you. But again, check with your doctor on anything that I'm telling you or suggesting you to take orally or any other way, because I'm not a professional. Warm milk drank before bed, it really does work. Or look up something called golden milk. It is a great alternative with almond milk, turmeric, honey. Look that up, the golden milk. Check it out on Google. I think you really like it. Or drink something like chamomile tea or lavender. Stay away from coffee. Stay away from caffeine in general. If you are dealing with anxiety symptoms, I know it's delicious, but you've got to let go of your morning coffee. You cannot have any stimulants right now as you're trying to de-stimulate your body, trying to get to a place of calm and peace. And once you're not overstimulated and you're not being attacked by thinking of future thoughts, you can start implementing caffeine back into your life at low doses. But for now, you have to sacrifice it if you want to get better. Exercise. We're talking about battling cortisol. Cortisol is a thing you will hear mentioned often by me. It's a chemical released when you are stressed and you need to escape a lion, but there's typically not a lion around anymore. Cortisol is the fight or flight chemical. It is the stress hormone. Paradoxically, exercising releases stress hormones as cortisol into the body as well. But exercising regularly adapts your body to these hormones. So although exercise is stress and it is releasing more cortisol, regularly adapting to exercise will help you to adapt to these hormones and will release less and less of the cortisol into your body during physical exertion and minor stresses, such as a work meeting or a crying child, something that all of us might be dealing with daily now while we're working from home. The more training you do, the more your body will adapt, releasing less stress hormones into your body when you deal with physical and mental stress. Exercise releases endorphins, also well known as a natural painkiller, which will reduce pain and depression and will generate feelings of positivity and relaxation. Hallelujah, we want these things. Even walking outside with sunscreen, I recommend here in Florida, which is where I'm at, 20 to 30 minutes a day listening to great music or a positive podcast can absolutely change your life. And I have some suggestions of podcasts and books and other things that will bring you to a calm level of knowing and know how to bring your body to a state of relaxation and even get into the now and understanding the power of now, which is my first book recommendation, The Power of Now. Exercise truly is the best medicine, and there are too many benefits to list here on this video, but incorporating mild exercise into your life will help you adapt to this stress and also help to release less of that cortisol. You need to get regular checkups with your doctor. A lot of us are wondering, am I having a heart attack? Is there something wrong with my lungs and why I'm not being able to breathe so well? Every little pain and ache is over-dramatized when you have anxiety. And we mentioned earlier, 90% of all visits to a healthcare professional are stress-related illnesses. We are overstressed, overtaxed, over-anxious, just as a society as a whole, as a collective. Let the professionals diagnose you, not WebMD, not your sister. If you feel like you're dealing with a real health problem, go to your doctor and get a checkup. And have yearly blood workups to check your vitamin D levels, your lipid profiles, a full metabolic panel. Most insurances give you a free blood workup once a year. Check with your insurance and your doctor. Worrying about your health and self-diagnosing yourself, yeah, I'm talking to you, will only cause stress and anxiety, and going to a doctor and having them ease your mind, or at worst, put you on a path to healing, will save yourself a lot of worrying. Health anxiety is something that is making a lot of us super anxious on top of all we're dealing with now. Deal with resentment, deal with fear, deal with your sexual past. List your assets and your defects, and forgive those in your life who have hurt you, and ask for forgiveness to those who you have hurt. I know I kind of threw that out there out of the blue, but that's a very, very important and something that can be an underlying cause of some of your stress. Remember this too, you are not responsible for people's reactions. You are responsible for your healing. So make a list of to-do in order of importance to tackling the physical. Make yourself a to-do list. Make a doctor appointment. Get a massage. Clean the house. Organize the closet. Take a 30-minute walk at the park. Make my phone calls first thing in the morning. Eat that frog. Get stuff done. Don't procrastinate. Procrastination is a huge contributor of stress and anxiety. And also, paradoxically, it is a stress management mechanism, attempting to hold off things that might cause stress, but in a catch-22 situation, stack things of priority on top of one another so that it becomes even more stressful. What a catch-22 that is. Lists can help with that, and scheduling by tackling one at a time instead of being overwhelmed by the whole. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one single step. Motion causes emotion. We already talked about that. We need to get movement. Here's some aromatherapy, as we talked about earlier, some of those anchors that you can have, or just to help the body calm down. Lavender, I love. It's my number one. Chamomile can be quite expensive to get the good stuff, but it's a fantastic calming scent. Lang Lang, citrus, jasmine, pine, cedarwood, frankincense are amazing as well. And like I said, set a reminder on your phone for daily body checkups. Make sure you're not squeezing from your shoulders. Make sure that your forehead is and your jaw is not clenched and it's lowered. Make sure you take the tongue off the roof of your mouth. And another thing, stay hydrated. It is important not only for your immune system and for your general health, but for stress. If you are dehydrated, you are very susceptible to stress and anxiety and panic attacks. The more hydrated you are, the better you will be in dealing with stress and anxiety. So guys, that's really what I have, and girls. This affects all sexes, all religions, all people. We are all in a collective state of uncertainty right now, misinformation, panic, fear. Remember, face everything and rise. Not forget everything and run. Not false evidence appearing real. We face everything and rise. And we will rise from this time of anxiety. And we will be able to ride the wave of what we're dealing with right now by coming together, being compassionate, although physically distancing ourselves from people, but socially connecting more than ever. And I'm glad and thank you. I hope this video has helped you out or given you even one or two tips or tools to be able to pull out during this time of intense stress, to be able to understand that it is all good. And this is not dangerous. And my body is reacting to this overstimulation and uncertainty about the future. That I will survive. And now I've got tools and techniques, or even just the realization that I'm actually dealing with anxiety instead of health troubles or just random things that we don't have an answer for. Anxiety. It causes real things. And one last thing I'll leave you with is my favorite resource in the world, or at least in the internet world, for information regarding up-to-date research and information about anxiety. And that is right out of Canada, our northern friends, anxietycenter.com. And center is spelled C-E-N-T-R-E. This is a fantastic website with trained professionals that can help you anything from counseling to just having a login so that you can get access to up-to-date research and information about this anxiety that we're talking so much about lately. So again, hope this helped you. If it did, subscribe. This is going to be a channel that's going to be dedicated to creating a voice, to letting go of fear, to being able to understand more about oneself and be an advocate channel for mental health, spiritual health, and just overall living a life instead of just existing in fear. we face everything and rise on this channel. And if you're with me and you'd like to follow along on my journey, please subscribe, comment. I would love to hear from you. Did this help? Come back and let me know. But again, I'm not a professional. If you do have any symptoms that you do think could possibly be more than just anxiety, get that health checkup. Even if you don't have insurance, they can work with you a plan. This is still the United States of America, and although right now you might feel that the hospitals are dealing with enough, because we are trying to flatten the curve with this coronavirus, which the real virus right now, in my opinion, is the fear, which goes way above and beyond the virus. But because you think that the hospitals and doctors are very busy right now, if you need them, call them. If you need to be seen, let them know and come in. Talk to your doctor about, are you able to come in? A lot of them are doing Skype calls, Zoom calls, and you're able to get information or even prescriptions right from your computer by doing virtual meetings with your doctor. Just don't make any excuses. If you think you need to be there, you need to be there. But if you're realizing that some of these sensations are caused by anxiety, some of these tools and tips might just help you well. So thank you very much. I'll see you on the next video, and I hope this message reaches you in good spirits, health, and safety.